Good energy to everybody. So in this video, I just want to talk a little bit about the progress of my journey, and I wanted to talk about a few other things. Uh, so yeah, I made it here to Oregon safely and pleasantly. Uh, you know, uh, it's been a long trip. It's been a lot of just a lot of learning, man. I've absorbed so much information the past 40 plus days. It's amazing, and just now being able to kind of like settle down in a peaceful environment. That's just, I mean, it was always peaceful, but this environment does require less of my effort to get what I essentially need as far as food, shelter, and water and all that good stuff. So now that I'm here in a place where I can kind of focus and sit down and really collect my thoughts and reflect on my journeys, I'm just processing so much every single second. It's quite amazing. But anyway, what I really want to talk about is, how no weapon formed against me shall prosper. That's essentially the message I wanted to talk about today. And then I also wanted to go into a few other things concerning, you know, uh, Jesus, my good old buddy, the Father, who you guys have seen a few times in some of my lives, and whom I recently got to have the most honorable and pleasurable experience to spend a lot of time with. And to start it off with, in the Bible it does says, it says how Jesus grew in stature, grew in stature. So this is very important and this is very key because, um, you know, who I met, the father, he's 25 years old, and that's very young. But for a 25-year-old, I have never in my life met anybody with so much spiritual, mental, and even physical ability. I mean, he's got it all. It's all there. And as I said before, I've been searching for quite a while for the most high direction, for the most high reason, for most high knowledge. And there's been bits and pieces all over the place that I put together in my own little way and helped motivate me, and you know, um, in good accordance with my passion. But I still lacked the ultimate direction. I still lacked what was really needed. And it wasn't until I surrendered to Christ that I found um, the solution, the direction that I've been looking for this whole time. So, I don't want to get too deep into it, but this is my truth. This is my journey, and I'm here now in Oregon, on mission, on orders from the Father to, help reorganize, or not reorganize, but just help to get the hemp thing going with even more motion than it has, and then to also bring together the full circle of how the hemp is literally mentioned in the Bible in Genesis 9:3. In the green herb, I give you all things. And then to also bring that full circle with the Christianity, and God, which is love, and how these two things really connect together. Because the more research that I've done into hemp and also into Christianity, the more both of these things really complement each other in a very loving way. I mean, everybody's talking about, or there's been a lot of talk about the cure for cancer, and if you really look into the lab results and do any research about hemp and the type of components and minerals and all the properties that it has more properties, more amino acids, more terpenes, vitamin D at a very high level than any other herb on the planet Earth. And then as well as you can build all these different type of things from it. I mean the benefits are, they go on and on. So, and the same thing goes for Christianity. I mean, I'm very new into this walk of life. I've always been about love and peace and harmony and doing good and all that and this. But it wasn't until a few, like 6 months ago, that I picked up the Bible and really started reading it. And really started to see the wisdom behind it. And and since doing so, my life has changed for the better drastically. And so I just want to make this video and just share with you guys, like just how much, better, and how much better my life, and how much better I feel about my life, no matter what situation I'm in, has gotten because of my surrendering to Christ, or to God, which is love, by the way. Every time we say these things, and every time we see God and Christ and all these things in the Bible, and movies or wherever, it's important to really remember that that is just the most high form of love, which is what God is. So, um, upon surrendering, initially I met him, and he, came to me in a time of need. Was a friend when I had no friends, essentially, and cared for me, provided for me, to shelter me, and also showed me the solution, which is the hemp. And I know I've talked about this before, but I'm gonna continue pushing it because it's going to happen. Even if you look around the world, I think Thailand just legalized marijuana. Um, it's going to happen. It's continuing. States are continuing to push it, to pass it. So it's part of the future, and it's coming. And I just want to help you guys, just learn a little bit more about it, and also to help share my experience with Christianity and also perseverance. Because, um, before I left New Orleans, the last day I was there, uh, we were camped out in our tent next to the bridge and stuff, and we've had cops come and talk to us before about camping there, and they were pretty cool with it. They were very cool with it. They were just like, "Yo, man, you guys can stay there at night. Just don't stay during the day. Pack up your stuff and all this and that, and everything's good." So yeah, we managed to stay at that particular spot for over 40 days, and but the last day that I was there, we had it's interesting. The bridge is right next to a court, and apparently a court had called a complaint on us, and so yeah, we had an officer come down, and he woke us up. He's like, "Hey, you guys, open up your tent and stuff." So we opened up the tent, and he asked for IDs, and he was a very cool cop too, very nice officer, very kind. He actually knew a little bit about the hemp and stuff. He said he had a buddy who was into working out a lot, and his buddy was taking hemp juice to help his joints. So it's just, it was just interesting to, even that occurrence of a cop coming to wake us up in the morning while we're sleeping in a tent and stuff right next to a bridge. It still bounced back to the hemp and the properties of the hemp. But anyway, the moment rolled on, and he checked our IDs, and he's like, "Do you guys have any warrants and stuff?" And I was like, "No, I don't have any warrants." The father, Pops, he does have some warrants. What he is, being love in its most high form, is very intense, very powerful, and he doesn't have patience. I mean, he has patience, but when it comes to authority, he is the authority. So, when he gets arrested for things like marijuana, on traffic tickets and things of this nature, his authority supersedes these things, from his perspective, and I understand that, and I understand that, and I understand that, and so with that being said, there was some fines he hadn't paid for, and there was also a. So this is another thing that I want to talk about, and it's really important because it has to do about love and your other half, and how love really does endureth all. So, being who he is, he knows more than any other human being on the planet, and because of that, he found his other half at a very young age. They went to the same school together, and his other half is the Holy Ghost. So, yeah. So growing up together, they were always pretty good friends and stuff like that. And as they got older, Josh Pops, the father, he became a little bit more open and truthful about how he really felt about this female, the Holy Ghost, and so yeah, it didn't work. It worked out the way it was supposed to work out, but the way that actually was that she, at the time that she's in and where she's at, she just wasn't ready enough to really accept and embrace that truth. Like, it was just too intense. It scared her. It literally, that much love, that much responsibility, that much information about being the Holy Ghost, and that your husband or your lover is the Father. That just overwhelmed her. It just completely was too much for her to handle at that point in time. And so because of that, she actually got a permanent restraining order on him. And this is really intense, and it's intense, and it's very meaningful, and it's very symbolic for a lot of things. So I'm sharing this because I want us all to remember how powerful love is, and how it really does endureth all, and that perseverance is very important, and anything that tries to get you to persevere, anything that tries to get you to be anxious, anything that tries to get you to be depressed, anything that gets you down, is stemming from a source that is not love. So it's literally like an antichrist or a demonic spirit that's getting you to walk away from love, in its highest form. So with that being said, I find the father's story so inspiring because even with all this resistance, even with all these people, even with all the court systems, all these things telling him that he can't be with this woman, telling him that he can't do this, telling him that he can't do that, he still perseveres on. He still continues on. He still does not waver in fear or in doubt. He still knows that he loves this chick and that he doesn't even hold any type of hard feelings. He totally understands why she did what she did, and he continues to love. He continues to love with so much sincerity, and not just her, with every single human being that he's around. And as I'm saying this right now, he's literally in a jail cell somewhere. And one of the main reasons why he's in a jail cell is because with a permanent restraining order, there's also other things that go along with it. Like there were certain places he wasn't supposed to go, and he wasn't supposed to contact or any type of social media or anything like that. And he's been very good about it. But we did go to a video game place where they meet up and stuff, which he wasn't supposed to go to from court orders. And we inquired about her, and he passed along a very gentle and kind message to a gentleman there, and I don't know exactly, but I'm assuming that somehow, way or another, that turned into the complaint that was filed on him. And this complaint was also brought up in attention when the cop arrested him. He was like, he saw the traffic tickets and he saw some of the court fines that hadn't been paid. Then he also saw what they call a stalking charge. And once the cop saw that, he asked the father to step outside the tent, and he arrested him. He put him in cuffs and took him away. And this was just a few days ago. This was on the last day that I was going to be in New Orleans. So it was a very powerful moment. It was very powerful. It was very moving, and for me, like that day in particular, I wasn't feeling that good. My stomach kind of hurt. I had a headache. It was cold outside. I was just really trying to rest and just kind of, keep my head up and stay positive as much as I could, knowing that this was the last day. And but at the same time, my body, my, everything, I was very optimistic spiritually, but a lot of things about me were kind of beat. It's not easy living on the streets, especially when it's cold and stuff, and being in new territory with new people. As loving as they are, it's still very taxing on one to adapt to new situations and experiments and environments. So I was very taxed. I was weary. I wasn't like, maybe not weary, but tired. I was just tired, and I'm still kind of tired right now. So if my demeanor isn't as energetic as maybe it could be, that's probably the reason. But again, I wanted to bring up the story because you know, when you really love something, whether it's another human being, whether it's a passionate project that you're working on, or whatever it may be, just know that it endureth all, that it always perseveres. And, I'm here in Oregon, back to the situation which those of you who watch my videos for some time, it can be a very, I can fall into my own dark abyss when I do these type of things. So, and especially with the way that the father Josh was taken away, and like I'm not able to contact him on Facebook or anything like that. Like it's a good challenge for me to continue to persevere. Because I don't have that type of reinforcement. I don't have that person that I can just call and get essentially kind of a sense of instant gratification for a good reason. But I don't have that anymore. So now I've got to rely on my own faith. I've got to rely on my own knowledge. I've got to rely on my own, not my own, but on the teachings that I have been introduced to and revigored in. So that's what I am. That is what has helped. What I'm trying to say is that the faith that you have for the Lord and for love is all that you really need. And everything happens for divine timing. So no matter what happens in your life, you're right where you should be. You're exactly right where you should be, and the Lord never gives you more than you can bear. And He always leaves a way of escape when you do come across them avenues of temptation and deceit and evilness. And it's important to really remember these things because it's easy to fall into those little voices that tell us to run astray, that tell us to do wrong, that tell us not to persevere, that tell us not to continue on, that tell us not to succeed. It can be very easy to fall into these little traps that the Antichrist, the lower self or the enemy, whatever you want to call it, plants. And he's planted a lot of seeds. But you know what? With that being said, this is why I'm so happy and still optimistic because I found the answer. I found the solution that I've been looking for such a long time. And with these hemps, what we can do with the plant and what we can do with the power of love and Christ, bringing it around full circle, is literally going to change the planet. It's going to recreate a heaven on earth. So I'm very optimistic, and I'm in the right place to continue to move along with this project in a very positive and optimistic way. Marijuana is legal here in Oregon, and I also have the time and security and the shelter and the peace to really help focus and hone in on my teachings and to process all the information and all the experiences and all the beautiful people that I got to meet while being in New Orleans and really help apply that to my life because love is action. And if you're not being active with your love, then it's dead. So, I encourage you all to just, continue to be merrier, continue to be more cheerful, continue to be optimistic, and also know that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. So, I just watched Storm's little minute video on, like, the death to the camera thing, and, I can kind of see where she's coming at, as far as, how movies and music videos and all these things, they are really helping to push a very artificial agenda. But at the same time, they're also giving ways and avenues of people who are about truth, who people are about love, to help spread that message. And in the end, I know that love is always going to persevere and endureth all and win. So it's important to know that we can use these devices, we can use these social media outlooks, we can use these things to help spread love and persevere with the use of this technology, no matter how evil its roots may be. And to also know that there's going to be new technology that's going to come along that is not toxic, that is not dirty, that is not going to taint the earth and its resources and thus the user that is using it. So, just some thoughts to keep in mind. Yeah, and I think with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and shut this video down. I hope you all have a great day. I love you all very much. And yeah, all right, peace and love. All right, goodbye.